Alright guys, let's talk about so-called Agile Planning events, right? So, in the previous video I was talking about how planning in the modern IT world is a mess, and the ultimate reason for that is that there is no planning process at all, right? But some other companies, they are trying to solve the problem by doing the opposite side of the extreme, right? So they're doing so-called planning events, right? So what that is about, essentially. So the Agile Planning event is an event which happens before a certain planning period, let's say a quarter, right? To plan for activities and features which are going to be delivered in that planning period. So all of the teams of the company, stakeholders, company leaders, tech leaders, assemble together in the same building and are trying to synchronize and build a schedule for the next quarter to implement the features they deem priority in that quarter, right? So the ultimate result for that is basically the board with all of the dates set up for certain deliverables. The teams get their work, which they need to focus on this planning period, right? And essentially, all of the business coders, they're expected to understand what features will be delivered and system components will be implemented on that quarter, right? So let's talk about what I think is wrong about this process, right? So basically, first of all, the teams which are participating in this event are focusing on activities they are going to implement, right? And when they are reporting about these activities on a schedule board, they're saying, I want to be implementing this, I want to be implementing this, and I want to be implementing that component, right? They're not talking about particular features and particular business functionality which they're going to deliver, right? So the project managers and product managers, when they listen to this report by the teams, they assume certain features to be delivered, right? And the developers are assuming only certain components to be delivered. They're not promising any features to be delivered by implementing those components, right? And when they're saying this report featuring all of the system activities and development work they're going to do, all of the managers and all the parties essentially are assuming their own things, right? So none of the team leads are reporting that what part of the project, what part of the features they're going to deliver, because essentially these terms are not existing in that planning process. You're just doing some work which everyone assumes will lead to some features implementation, right? So, and another problem is that this event is usually very time-consuming, resource-consuming, right? So you have a lot of teams, a lot of people taking like 2 or 3 days planning all the things. And I know what happens next is that the next day after this planning event, some client comes into the room, or just some product manager connects with them, and they just say that the priorities now change and they want this feature to be delivered not in the end of the year but actually in this quarter, right? So, and that basically messes up all the plans and all the schedule which was created during this time-consuming planning event, right? So essentially for this process to work, right, all of the this planning event should happen all the time, every day, right? Whenever some priority changes, whenever some dev activity is added, right? Everyone should now synchronize again, get into the room, and now decide what to, how to fix the plans, essentially, right? So having all the teams synchronized in this fashion is sometimes can be effective, sometimes can be not effective. Because how do you synchronize all the teams? Like, it's not possible even in that 3 days process. Like, let's say you have 10 teams, right? So every team needs to talk to other teams and synchronize all that. So it's not realistic to make to build a really good schedule, perfect schedule out of it, right? So the main answer to that, like how to fix that problem, is to make this process automated, right, and flexible, so that you could go into the schedule, change priorities, change deliverables, add deliverables, and you could do this all the time, every day. And the schedule which you created, it will be constantly improved, constantly updated, right?
Hey guys, so important editor's note here. So when I say that you can update every day, it's not necessarily that you should update the schedule every day. It's just, I'm talking about the ability to adjust schedule where you need it, whether it's in the middle of the quarter or it's in the end of the quarter, or it's in the beginning. But the scale of changes should be reasonable, and of course, it shouldn't distract the work, the existing work of the development teams.
So whenever you are adding a new deliverable to this quarter, you know that the next deliverable, like the deliverable which depends on that, will be, let's say, delayed until the next quarter. And in this fashion, you always keep the schedule synchronized, you always keep the teams synchronized, and this is where having automated software is important, and it is important to always have managers and teams inputting the data to that to keep those schedules updated. All right, that's all what I want to talk about for today. Like, share, and subscribe.